Today's exposition comes from Proverbs chapter 10, verse 2, which reads, "Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death." So here in this proverb, we see the uselessness of treasures of wickedness contrasted with righteousness. First, let's understand what is meant by treasures of wickedness. In a later proverb, Proverbs 11:4, we will see that riches do not profit on the day of wrath. And there, the riches spoken of are not necessarily gained via immoral or unethical means. Here, however, ill-gotten gain is in view. Treasures of wickedness, then, refers to means gotten by wrongdoing. The opening chapter of Proverbs provides an example of such gain chasers when it speaks of those who would lurk for the innocent and desire to shed innocent blood to the end that they might fill their houses with spoil. Proverbs chapter 1, verses 11 through 13. Such ones do not realize that all that spoil gained really posts a zero on the balance sheet. There is no profit gained in it. As a matter of fact, it does harm rather than good. Treasures of wickedness can gnaw at a person's conscience, or they can sear a person's conscience. It could lead to personal vengeance being taken upon such ones, or jail sentences being levied upon such ones. They do not profit. They add nothing, zilch. And examples like Ahab or Achan or Judas all testify to how treasures of wickedness profit nothing. But the second half of the proverb tells us, "But righteousness delivers from death." Now, there is a question here as to how the word righteousness should be understood in this context. The word can have a wider and broader range of meaning than one might realize. So some think it refers to charitable deeds because although not the rule, the term can have that implication. Daniel chapter 4, verse 27. Additionally, in the Septuagint, the word for righteousness is diakosune, and in the New Testament, it can have that implication as well. Jesus used the term that way in Matthew chapter 6, verse 1. Furthermore, within this context, where ill-gotten gain is being considered, the antithesis, it is argued, would be using resources liberally as opposed to getting gain wrongly. Not to mention, the Proverbs do speak about how the generous soul will prosper and be refreshed by others, Proverbs 11:25, how the one with a generous eye will be blessed, Proverbs 22:9, or how he who gives to the poor will not lack, Proverbs 28:27. Not to mention, the beneficiaries of such practical righteousness could be spared from, say, temporal death as a result of such almsgiving. Such considerations remind us of the kind of people that we ought to be. As opposed to getting gain wrongly, we should be considering how to use our resources liberally and rightly. But some think that this word also could refer to, say, honesty, maybe because Proverbs 13:5 says a righteous man hates lying. More generally, the term righteousness could just be understood as right living. Therefore, the implication would be living in a right way spares people oftentimes from mortal danger. But any consideration of the word righteousness should be a reminder to us that in and of ourselves, in our fallen nature, we are sinners, and there is not one righteous, no, not one. You see that in a place like Psalm 143, verse 2, or Romans chapter 3, verse 10, and thus our attention should be drawn to Jesus Christ, the righteous one, the one whose righteousness can deliver us from what the Bible calls the second death. A righteousness that is received by faith in the person and work of Jesus Christ. May you then be exhorted today to avoid pursuing ill-gotten gain, but instead, having received the very righteousness of Christ, may you walk in practical righteousness, which God may use not only to deliver your temporal life, but to deliver the lives of others from temporal death as well.